Howdy, folks. Welcome to Tom Time, the podcast.
2, 3, 4. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, yeah, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, yeah, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, yeah, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Talk about Tom Time, talk about Tom Time, talk about Tom Time.
Occasional host Isaiah Cameron, and as always, and we'll be with you the whole ride in every episode, Tom Swick. How's it going, folks? I'll be joining you throughout this podcast. And for those who are a little confused, this podcast is going to be a companion piece to Tom Time, the show. So this is going to be going into spoiler territory as well as behind the scenes territory of Tom Time. If you've not seen episode 1 or even the trailer or either of them, please stop right now, press pause, go watch episode 1, and please watch the trailer because that showcases the theme song. Man, I love that. I love the trailer so much. But guys, again, spoiler territory. This is your only warning. We might warn you again in some of the interviews. X out, watch the show, and come back and listen to Tom Time, the podcast with Isaiah and Tom. Well, thank you for those who actually watched the show and watched episode 1, and those who are still here. What are you doing, man? Get out, go, get out, get out of here. All right. Welcome to the show. This is the podcast. Isaiah will be joining me later in the show, so tune in for that. Here, I'm just giving you guys the quick little beats that I wanted to intro the show with so you get an idea of Tom Time, episode 1, as well as Tom Time, the podcast. So, welcome to the show. Episode 1, if you're still confused, I play a caricature of myself. I am playing a television host with the idea of that concept, the look at me, I am the center of attention type deal. My name is so-and-so, and this is my show. Look at me. Dialed to like 100%, as well as a stereotypical television host in there as well. And then, of course, I had to throw elements of me to give this realness to it. So for those who are confused, no, I don't really act like that in real life. Dear Lord, no. No one would agree to work with me. We had to put on the character for the show to give you guys just a character to follow, because he's going to be going on a journey in this season. This is a spoiler warning now, again. So season 1, if you watched episode 1, the very end, the television host gets kidnapped. He is kidnapped by some bad dudes. And the bad dudes, some of them are actually going to be interviewed in this podcast later on. So we'll talk about the filming as well as their previous experiences. Really cool guys. I can't wait for you guys to hear from them. They're just fantastic dudes. Great guys. They actually are not bad dudes in real life. Shocker. But yeah, the podcast here is just going into the story a bit. Give you a director's commentary while also maybe a little clarification if for those who are still confused. But I just want to go in detail on the story. Just maybe a little Easter eggs if you didn't notice. So like I said, I played a caricature. It goes really heavily in the monologue. The monologue is the douche route, if we all remember. And for those who watched, that character did come off as a little douchey. Very douchey, in fact. But you can see the little hints of his regret. He understands self-awareness of being douchey and working on it. But the show definitely is not helping that at all. He's definitely going back into a very, just a douchebag. Douche canoe. As I said in the show. So he goes back into that a bit when he's hosting this TV show. So that's part of like his inner struggle, as you could say, his inner turmoil. Now, the outer turmoil that is happening is clearly he's kidnapped, man. Some bad dudes got him, and we have no idea where he's at. We're going to find out in episode 2. Maybe there's a trailer released before this. Probably not. But actually, next week, there's going to be a little trailer. You'll see maybe where he's going or just a current state of our television host, Tom Swick. So we know that he's okay. And as the director, I'll let you guys know he's not dead. He's still alive. He's okay. Don't worry. We'll follow him on his journey. And this guy, even though he's going to be going through some crazy experiences, he's kidnapped, he's still going to host Tom Time. He's still going to give us 100%, which is just, you know what? That is a professional right there, guys. That is the host that you want for your TV show. And that's why Tom Conglomerate hired him, man. That's why Tomfoolery Conglomerate hired him, and he's crushing it. Not a real dude, obviously, but hey, it's fun. Because this is the most real thing, I think. One of the better representations of who I am, if you want to know that. Clearly, that's not the point here because that's stupid. I don't like talking about myself that much, especially on a social media thing like this, internet, because I don't think I'm that interesting. I think what's interesting is what I'm creating here, and that's what we're doing. Yeah, overall, though, this episode was a success. It was fantastic. I genuinely am surprised how many people have watched this thing. As the time of recording this, we are close to hitting 69 nice viewers for the episode 1. So it begins, and that's awesome. I can't believe we have had that many people. I was hoping for 50 by episode 2 airing, and we could be on the way to 100, maybe even more. And that's awesome. I am truly grateful and really appreciate all of you listening to it and watching it and just hopefully enjoying it. And those who didn't enjoy it, I went into my performance so you get an idea of it, because that's not actually me, but it's funny. For those who don't enjoy it, I apologize, but not really. It's not really genuine. It's just be sorry to be sorry. The product that we recorded was fully intended, and we developed in the way that we wanted. And I'm really happy with it. Those who are complaining about audio, you're being a little ridiculous because it is a first episode of a project like this. You can hear the audio now, and you can see how professional it is and hear how professional it is. That's really hard to do because this is equipment set up by Gannon, my college, and that's very, very hard to do. But we're going to be looking into getting better mics for episode 2 and later episodes, and that's kind of cool. As the story progresses, so does the production quality, which is it's kind of cool. I really like that element, and episode 1 was just the idea of getting the story. We wanted to film it, and we just wanted to get hands-on. We wanted it to be rough. We wanted just to be very improbable. But from here on out, it's very, very methodical. It's really planned to a T. We already have the next 2 episodes planned completely, like the story and where we're going with it. And we're just ready to film. We'll be filming throughout the month of November. So maybe the last week of November, maybe the weekend before the last week, Tom Time episode 2 is going to air, and the title still due to TBD, so check out when it uploads for that official title of episode 2, because episode 1 clearly was episode 1, so it begins. That was just coming up right on the spot. I had to upload it at Nash Library at 10:30 to make sure it was ready. I edited for about a week and a half. It was about 36 hours. That was a really hard experience. It was exhausting. I was by myself majority of that time, and I do not like being by myself. I am very, very extroverted, and I like just being around people. So being kind of sheltered off like that was rough, but I enjoyed the experience. I learned a lot. I know how I want to do our production from now on. I don't know if anyone's interested, but we're just going to record the week of, and then we're going to edit the week of instead of just having a final week of editing, because that was ridiculous, and it was very rough on me. I had to take a couple of days off of Tom Time, which now I'm back, and here we are in the studio recording Tom Time, the podcast. I'm excited. Episode 1 was I'm getting a little off the rails here, but I think you guys expected that because this is still episode 1 of a podcast, different show. But first weekend was a massive success, and for those who tried to contact me, thank you. It was awesome. I really appreciate it. I did not read or hear a single message that anyone sent me on their reaction about my show. If you texted or called me, Snapchatted me, whatever you did, direct messaged me on Instagram, I've yet to see any of it because my phone is officially broken. It is dead. It is done. We filmed the show on it, and it survived production, which is crazy because it was falling apart on the Chronicle of Greg, and it lasted. It lasted the news segment, which is crazy because that was the very last thing we recorded for Tom Time. Thank you so much, Garrett, for helping me out with that. But, dude, it's gone. It is a green screen, and it is just fizzing out. I'm surprised it's not shooting sparks at this point because it is bad. Luckily for me, I should have a new phone in by this week or next week. We'll probably be filming on a replacement phone for a little bit if worse comes to worse, which is all right. It's all right. Yeah, so anyone who tried calling me, it's gone. It's like literally it's broken. It's rough. And for those who think I thought the show was amazing when it first came out, which I did on my personal view. I had no idea if the audience liked it. I actually believed for about 4 to 6 hours, like genuine believed that everyone hated it, which is not fun, especially when you spent more than a month of your life working on something like that. And especially because I edited it for so long and I was by myself editing, so that was rough. It was not fun, but I was able to talk to some people who actually did watch it or were about to watch it, and they told me about actual people's reactions to it, and apparently people like it. Not everyone does, and that's what's going to happen when you cast a wide net, try to get as many people to watch it, and we did. We succeeded in casting that wide net, and hopefully we brought in people who are going to truly enjoy it. And those who don't like it, maybe they can watch one more episode, and if they still don't like it, hey, this show's not for you. I hope you find a show for you, and maybe season 2 will be better for you. And if it's not, hey, that's all right. You're not a Tom Time man. You're not a Tom Time gal. You're not a Tom Time person, and that is perfectly fine. Just live your life, man. Good luck. But for those who love Tom Time, thank you. This is amazing. I am so happy to continue on this journey. And back to the story of me and my broken phone believing that everyone truly hated Tom Time. It was wild because I actually watched it with somebody who was not an intended audience it was made for. And I really wanted to see what someone in demographic that I wasn't trying to reach would think. So that was really cool. They're a really close person to me, and she hated the monologue, which honestly, if you saw the caption and like the little warnings, that was the weakest part of Tom Time, and it was really just driving home who that television host character was. And they eviscerated the show. It was awesome, and it was terrible. Awesome is just being sarcastic there. It just was terrible. I was like, oh my God, everyone thinks this way, and oh my Lord, it's bad. But I was able to get over it. She did say she really liked the movie, and that's awesome because that's my favorite part. She loved the movie. She really, really enjoyed it and thought it was hilarious, which is, you know what, that's a win because the movie was my favorite part of that whole episode. The Chronicle of Greg was amazing. We wrote a outline for it, so we had like a mess of a script basically, so not really any dialogue, but just the story beats. And we brought in Liam, and Isaiah was always with me from the get-go, so he was there to help input his ideas for the story as well. But it was me and Liam. We shot the beginning scene first. It's kind of obvious. If not, that's kind of cool. But we shot the first scene first to try and develop those characters, to understand who they are and what their journey is to that very moment, so you can understand their motives and what they want in the story. So obviously Dr. Alfred Punta is just this crazy dude who came from the sewers, like the penguin from Batman Returns. That was a little too tongue-in-cheek. That was a little too obvious when I said it, but I just wanted to talk about it because I thought it would be funny to hear in his voice talking about Batman Returns. And then the thing about Penguin being the hero, that's just a fun little thing that people have done before, and I thought it would be fun to do it again, just like the villain who's obviously just a clearly bad dude is the hero in the bad guy's eyes, which is funny. And yeah, Dr. Alfred Punta was kind of like, I did a little bit of his mannerisms. I thought of just evil scientists that I've seen. So clearly Dr. Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb, who's not even that bad of a guy. But I just wanted to give like how he postures and like how he constantly is like rubbing his hands. I'm not going to do his voice because it hurt my voice at the end of the shift. After the shoot, I gotta take a break from doing Dr. Alfred Punta. Maybe he will return in a future movie. We shall see. Put that on hold and put a pin in it and maybe forget it. But yeah, he was inspired by Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Merrim's a little bit, his voice a little bit like Gollum, Schmeagol. My sister thought it was a little bit of Voldemort in there, which is kind of cool. Ralph Fiennes' performance in Voldemort is one of the greatest performances in blockbuster history, I would have to say. So that's really cool. And Dr. Alfred Punta is just a guy who's trying to create the world's most abomination into it, as well as his good intention, as well as he clearly wants a son. And more than that, he wants a friend. He came from basically humble beginnings, no human connection except for Hobo Joe, who presumably is a real person, might not even be a real dude. And you can tell he's trying to connect with his assistants. He cares about them a lot because of the flashing story and everything. So, yes, it was played for a comedic effect, but the comedic effect really was the part when the guy whispers in his ears but really yells in his ear. And Dr. Alf Punta is like, out, but he's like immediately still like, hey, are you okay, man? Are you truly okay? If you need to take a break, go, by all means, go ahead. And if you don't want to do this anymore, go right ahead. So you can see that he kind of cares about Dick, which is cool. And Liam played Dick Johnson, Richard Johnson, the assistant, and I think he nailed his motives really well because he was a grad student we were thinking of. Maybe he's trying to go for his doctorate, probably similar studies as Dr. Alfred Punta, trying to just get knowledge as much as he can and the most experience he can. And those who are college students or just graduating, terrible jobs that you'll have to take to get that experience. And I don't know if you heard his mantra when Dr. Alfred Punta's laughing, it's just him being like, student loans, because he knows he's getting paid here. He knows that this is a chance to make money to ease off that debt, as well as maybe this is a chance to be the doctor, that scientist that he thinks he can be, that he believes he is, that he's working desperately to be, to even driving in the middle of an alleyway, getting flashed by this random guy named Earl to get pasteurized milk. And his world fell apart there because he thought he was getting like this chemical, creating this cool experiment. And the guy basically used him. And he feels betrayed a little bit. But I think he also, interacting with Dr. Alfred Punta, he realizes that he does care about him, like as a friend, and just trying to be a buddy to him. And so he continues because money, because experience, as well as a guy that is trying to be your friend, is someone kind of cool to try and keep, You want to be someone who is clearly cares the best about you, which is interesting. And obviously, at the end, he probably should have stayed away from Dr. Alfred Punta because sometimes, even when someone is trying to be your friend, sometimes their intentions for their own personal goals can sabotage you, and you should not be around them. So it's like a little life lesson there. So that's kind of cool. The experiment, I wanted to do a monster movie. Frankenstein's one of the most classic monsters of all time. So obviously we'll do that. And Greg was just a goofy name that I think if we spell it with 3 G's just looks wrong. If anyone is named Greg, that's hilarious with 3 G's. Yeah, shout out to you, Greg. And that movie was made for you. And it's funny because the monster is dumber than a pile of rocks and just couldn't comprehend his own name, which is one of the most ridiculous ways to die. So it's awesome that we did that. And that was one of the big jokes that we worked on. Isaiah liked it immediately, Liam liked it immediately, and then some of the test audience that I showed it to really liked it. So it was good. Isaiah's character, Police Chief Willard Woodward. I wanted another member joke, is the best way to put it. So Woodward, obviously, and also Woodward is just a funny name. It's similar to Squidward, and it's a silly name. Willard is a great name, and then the same letters at the beginning is just, I forget the term for it. I feel kind of a fool not remembering it, but it's funny. It's like Willard Woodward. That's so goofy. I think he briefly says it in it, which is fine. I think the caption of it also sells it nicely. That news bit was so cool filming because we filmed Isaiah's bit first, and then the last thing we ever filmed for Tom Time, episode 1, So It Begins, was the news segment, and I got to play a news anchor because, for those who don't know, I was going to be a broadcast journalist, I was looking to study here at Gannon. I was thinking about being an actual TV news anchor. I really like the news, and I think the news should be told truthfully. It's something I'm very passionate about, and still am. I might delve into that later in my career, I don't know. Right now, I'm focusing on Tom Time and my studies. And being able to play a news anchor like that is really fun. I got to play like a goofy little character who has clearly a bad marriage right now, trying to get his life together, but at least he has his dream job, so he's still doing it. It's on an interesting network, though. Maybe it's like a cable access news network, maybe not the most respectful news network, even though it's trying its best to sell it as that way. It's the Cat News channel, where the only thing capped is our news anchors. And that is awesome. I think that was a fun little pun that I came up right on the spot the day of filming the news. And Garrett really liked it, the guy who helped me film it, because Isaiah was busy that day, which is, man, Isaiah has a full-time job, and he's helping with Tom Time, and he's fantastic. I can't wait to hear from him later in the show. But Garrett really liked Cap News, and I think it just drove the point home that, yes, we're telling true facts, and this is not that good of a channel, because why the hell would they call a channel the Cap News channel? That's ridiculous. But it's a fun little pun. It's goofy. For those who don't know what Capped is, just read Urban Dictionary, because I think I don't want to explain it here. It's kind of dumb. Cap News, and it was great. Our news anchor obviously had a ball cap on. I wanted to shout out the Erie Seawolves because I did that a lot throughout it. I wanted to show Erie elements because that's the place where I grew up, and it's really cool to shout out your hometown like that. And then I got to do like the classic like throw off screen or something that sometimes news anchors do. So just throw it. That was one take. So the first shot we did was a very brief one. I don't think we even filmed it. And the second take, the true take, is that, and we didn't take another one. And I did this cap throw, and then I ended it with a thumbs up. And I love the thumbs up so much because originally I was just going to end it with the cap throw, but I love the thumbs up because that was me more towards Garrett. And it just looks so goofy that I was like, that has to be the last shot. It has to be in there. And it was good. And then I extended the Cap News thing with no sound. I just wanted a nice little breather for people, so like they can be like, what is going on to who they're watching it. And I know Isaiah was a little questioning it, which I think was smart on his end. I don't know if he understood like how fast the story was going, because a lot of audience people just, like anyone who's watching it, is just, there's so much dialogue happening that you need a breather to just understand what's going on. So you're going back into the story, you're going into the monster chase scene. So there's a police chief. He's stopping Greg. He's figuring out what is going on. Greg stops him. He's moonwalking. So you have to still comprehend that. And the moonwalking, dude, man. Moonwalking was a joke that I did to Isaiah. So we were filming some test screen for Greg. So we're trying to figure out what silly walk we're going to use. I like doing silly walks because they're funny. I do it to my friends all the time when I'm like walking past them in class. So I do the most ridiculous thing that I can do, past like their window, and they would see me in class, and then I try to make them break in class. Like they just laugh, and the professor's like, "What's going on?" And they have to be like, no, nothing," which is funny. But yes, I did one of my funny walks, which for the test footage we did a couple of them. None of them truly felt like Greg, what we wanted to tell in our story. So I always thought about doing moonwalking for it. I didn't think we could do it and pull it off well. And when I did it on the test footage, you can hear Isaiah laughing, and it was great. And I even ended it with like the flourish of the rest of the Thriller dance, which is fun. It was great, and we wanted to. He immediately was like, "That's what we're doing." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." I think like when I was doing it in character, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is it. We're doing it. We have to do it. We have to do it." And it was awesome. And yeah, I've known a moonwalk since I was a kid. My older brother taught me how to do it after one of my relatives' weddings. And since then, I was just like, I would practice. Like for a couple years, I just practiced every day how to do it. So I knew how to do like this whole routine where I could do forwards, sideways, where it looked like I was sliding across the floor. It was so cool. Like basically how the same moonwalk effect. I forget what it's called, but really cool. Michael Jackson didn't create the moonwalk. It was another artist who did it, which is a lot of people don't know that. I forget his name because I only found out about this recently. So that's really cool. Yeah. And so I moonwalked, and it was hopefully hilarious and goofy, and you just were entertained by it, because that's the goal of Tom Time, and especially the Tom Time film experience, is just to entertain everybody. And the movie as a whole, clearly the message was sometimes a Scooby-Dooby's friend can be an enemy in disguise. Or like maybe an enemy in disguise, you know. It's funny, Logan Worst, I met him this semester. He's a freshman here, SGA representative, great guy, and he crushed that role. And it was funny just seeing him play like a goofy, I am a monster news announcer, ooh, I'm a horror flick guy. It's kind of like TCM type deal. It was awesome. He crushed it. And I'm really happy with everything that we filmed, and it's everything that I could dream of, and we crushed it. And the movie, I think, like the end goal of it was to be a monster movie set in like the 1950s, black and white, grainy film. The audio is a little off, and I wanted the storming noise, that constant breeze is going on. Sometimes it's too loud because a lot of those movies is just the noise, the background noise is just so loud, and it's like clearly the editor's just like, oh, this is such a cool effect, man. This is my masterpiece. I want them to know that they're in the middle of a storm. And then you're watching, you're like, yeah, we know you're in the middle of a storm. Can you turn it down? Turn down the storm. Turn it down. Come on. And you don't know what's a lot of times going on. So you just had to, it gave the WTF effect, which is awesome. And it was fun. I might add captions to the opening scene. I'll see, try to get more input on that. We'll see. Because I know someone recommended that to me. And yeah, I'll see if I want to do that or not. It's a lot more work. I like Tom Time how it is for now, but if some people need it, I will greatly do it. I might probably just stick to doing it when I release the movie by itself, because you hopefully know by now, clips and highlights will be posted weeks and days after the show is aired. So that'll include the opening scene with the theme song, the interview as a whole. I probably will do the version that was on the episode, as well as an extended version, because there's a lot of clips that you guys did not see, which is great content by Eric and me, and I hope you guys can check it out when I post it at some point. That'll be during this month. And then, of course, I'll be doing the Tom Time film experience as a whole. So you have Logan's bit, then the movie, and then Logan's bit at the end. And that'll be one of the clips that I'll be doing. I'll probably do the closing scene as well. I might use that as a trailer for episode 2. We'll see. I might add some other stuff to it. I'm not going to post the Tom Insight. It's rough, and I'd rather not people, first time they watch Tom Time, I'd rather them not watch the Tom Insight. And I think a couple people agree with that. I know some people really like the Tom Insight, which I appreciate. Thank you so much. That was a lot of work. I'd never done anything like that before, and I had to play a character while doing it. So it's tricky, because there's like two things that I was nervous about and anxious about, was performance of the character and the story I told. I am proud of what we filmed. It was really good. Yeah. This opener is a little long. It's not just an opener. It's like a nice little start of the podcast. And for those who are listening in the car, dude, thank you. Good luck at work. If you have to pause now, good luck at work. Good luck at school or wherever you're going. If you're just listening to me while you're studying for a test, hey, focus on that test, man. Good luck. And yeah, thank you. You're listening to Tom Time, the podcast. I will be back with some more segments. Yeah, this is Talking About Tom. Talking about Tom Time. Love the theme song, Nate. Thank you again. Tom Time, the podcast on Tom Time. And I'm here with my co-host,
Isaiah. What up, everybody?
Isaiah is our director of photography. He's the one that makes the excellent shots, those magic shots. Like I said in episode 1, he makes music with the camera.
I don't know about music, but I took a few photography classes, so I might know what I'm doing.
He's an expert. An expert. Unpaid, though.
Unpaid this time.
Unpaid this time. We'll have to see what happens when we get that Patreon going. Teasers. We'll see if it happens later down the road. Season 2 or 3.
Gotta talk to the CEO of Tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery conglomerate. That guy is a-hole. Is a good way to put it.
Crazy.
Maniac. Anyway, I, of course, wrote the idea of the story and everything and figured out how it was going to be. But I brought in Isaiah over the summer, and he's easily executive producer with me, and it's just, we're crushing it out of the park. Episode 1 was fantastic. We're in the middle of filming episode 2 right now, and we're going to be talking about episode 1 here. We're going to go behind the scenes a little bit, and we're interviewing. Isaiah, can you introduce our guest here?
We got Daniel. He's one of the actors. He plays the bad dudes, one of the bad dudes.
He is the Kung Fu master, karate man. He's also known as the guy that kicked me and got me out by one strike. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Grabowski. I am the Kung Fu man, even though I don't do Kung Fu. That's fine.
You do karate then, right?
I actually do 5 martial arts.
Oh, flexing. What are those 5 martial arts that you do?
So I do karate, taekwondo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and Jeet Kune Do, which people don't know what that is. That's basically the Bruce Lee martial art that basically is a not going for honor points, like if I hit you in the eyes or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. So dirty fighting, then.
Yeah, anything that would be considered foul. It's almost like street fighting, but not street fighting.
That's
We're learning
cool.
it in a martial arts way.
That's really cool. And you're a black belt in one of those?
I'm Taekwondo and in technically karate.
Nice.
Technically a 3rd degree in Taekwondo.
Dang.
Okay.
So I don't know if the other martial arts have belts. Do they do belts, or is it just...
It depends on usually what academy you go to, because the belt ranking system is different. I used to go to a different academy, and they're like in my old academy, American Taekwondo Association, they'd have a camo belt, whereas the new one I have doesn't have a camo rank at all.
Huh.
So it depends on where you're at.
That's cool. I think everyone's asking this, and I've been dying to ask you this for a while. How impressive and truly is it unblockable is the crane kick?
The crane kick?
You know, from Karate Kid.
Oh, from karate.
You know, the final kick that he uses.
I call BS on that all day.
I know, but you know, we gotta know just in case.
just to know.
It's the ultimate telegraph kick. You know it's coming.
We just gotta know.
Okay, so
Just for
I
the
actually
viewers.
asked my instructor this once before, and he made me get into the stance. And what he did was he literally was able to just push me over. That's how weak the stance is when you go for it. If you literally kick their leg, the one that's just standing, you're pretty much anyone's done for.
Right.
Dang.
So, but if it hits, it would actually do just enough damage.
Oh.
But the risk is usually way too high. So it's just not worth it.
So you're saying it does damage,
Yeah.
but high risk, high reward.
It was
Boom.
a high risk,
Yep.
high reward move.
You know what? I'm happy with that. I like it. You know what? I was fearing that it just literally is the worst thing that you could possibly do.
No, it's not. It's just more risky to go for than like actually, like how he went for it. Like, yeah, he's gonna lose if he doesn't go for something crazy. So
Yeah. I think the guy was, like, if we think about it as, like, real life, Johnny was just so confused at what's going on. It's because Daniel, literally, his leg was busted in, and there he is, I think it was standing on that busted leg. So I think he's just like, what is happening? What demon possession is happening? So he's confused and got kicked in the face, which is actually illegal move in the rules of the movie. If you guys watch Cobra Kai.
yeah, it is.
We're not sponsored by them, but I love that show. And, dude, it's an illegal move, so that's what's even crazier. And he ended up winning. It's wild.
I don't understand how he won. Even if he is named after me, it's just like,
I
come
don't
on.
know, man.
You know how many times people back in the day would come. There one person in school who would always call me Daniel's son. I couldn't avoid it. Once I said I do martial arts, it was unavoidable.
But
Yep.
that scene, though, just the...
Icing on the cake.
So great.
So theoretically, you could beat up Mr. Miyagi.
Probably now, but like then, I don't know.
I mean, now
he's
Mr.
dead
Miyagi's dead.
Well, I know, but
So,
So we bring out...
if I can't beat some bones, I really am not. I don't. I just take my belt.
Guys, episode 4, Daniel is going to take on the bones of Mr. Miyagi.
This is not legal in the slightest.
Daniel's son goes to jail for digging up Mr. Miyagi.
Tom Time, episode 4. Grave robbing, question mark?
We might get shut down for that, though.
No, we're not doing that. That's
No,
terrible.
I'm just getting sent to prison.
Just kidding. Yeah, all right. Back to Tom Time, though. Dude, that was fun. The viewers by now, if you didn't watch the episode, what are you doing listening to the podcast recapping and talking about behind the scenes? Pause right now and watch the episode, man. Heck, if you forget it, watch it again, because we're about to spoil it in 3 seconds. This is a nice little warning. Get out of here while you still can. 3, get out of here, man, if you don't know what's happening. 2, hey, man, spoilers. 1, all right, spoiler city, here we go. So episode 1, we end with me getting the crap beat out of me and then getting kidnapped by some bad dudes. Not just any bad dudes, the bad dudes. And Isaiah had to run off because Daniel threatened him. And
Wasn't even verbal.
it wasn't even verbal. Well, he saw what you did to me, and it's like, oh snap, what else could he do? And it's like, I think Isaiah could put up a good fight, but I was caught off guard, and dude, getting knocked down like that is crazy. And dude, I'm kidnapped. I don't know where I'm at. You guys will see in episode 2, because right now I'm tied to a chair somewhere with a bag over my head, man. It's crazy. And Daniel, filming that and just the thing about the in-universe of the show, what do you think about it?
I don't know. It was really cool experience to film something like that. I haven't really done much of that before. I've filmed something else. But there was something for Gannon I had to help. I had to film some weird event where they had Ghost of Christmas Past, but instead it was the American election, which was really strange. But
I need to see that now. We'll watch that after this.
I'll have to find it somewhere.
If we find a link to it, we'll have it in the description, because that sounds amazing, if Daniel allows us to.
I don't want to. No one needs to know about that.
Only us will see.
But,
So officially, this is your first movie.
yes. But the role I was given was perfect role for me. The kick I was... Because if you didn't see, we're spoiling it anyway. I did kick Tom to the ground. He went down in one shot. It was a rib shot, so... Spoiler alert, you probably know this, but I didn't actually kick him as hard as possible for him to fall down.
Yeah. Surprisingly, guys, we can't do that.
I can't do that.
We can't have.
I probably could kick him that hard he'd fall down, but I like Tom being my friend.
Yeah.
I like you being my friend too, Dan. Daniel.
Not saying it's not okay to hit your friends.
No. Unless they give approval, you know?
Unless you're martial arts buddies, then maybe.
Yes. Or boxing buddies, or just simply want to do a little scrapple, you know? But yeah, filming that. That's cool. So, is there a name for that kick, or is it just like a simple like side kick?
That was just a normal side kick that I did.
That's cool.
I did twist into it, but main thing I had to learn while doing martial arts that before I left my other academy was I was always able to hit hard, but I was never able to like control and stop, which I'm able to now just control and stop.
Yeah. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
Oh, no, you would have been in pain if I could.
Yeah, like I was already in pain because we had to film that about 5 times, was it?
But yeah,
we did that 4 or 5 times. I was slamming on concrete.
Oh, special.
I know how to do safety falls, guys. Those at home, don't practice this unless you've been trained to do theater falls or acting falls, because I was doing a very specific strategy that I learned from the Shuster Theater. And shout out to them, because without them, I would not have been able to do that correctly.
Most people fall incorrectly. It's like a very common thing. In my academy, we've actually been taught how to actually fall.
And that's cool.
And if you reach out your hands like this, you're going to break your hands. Don't do that, people. I know it's instinct, but you're going to break your hands.
I did it once when we were filming. I don't know if it's the one that we ended up going with. And you guys probably could have saw me clenching my wrist a bit. I, for a second, thought I sprained my wrist.
Oh, yeah. I've seen some nasty falls because I just got into skateboarding. Ooh. And I saw a dude go up, come down, fell, stuck his hand out, and his wrist just snapped. You could see the bone like inverted through his skin. It was bad.
Yikes. I mean, if you want to know how to actually fall, we're giving some good advice on this show.
Nice.
On this podcast.
Don't practice it unless you're in a safe environment, but yes.
You want to tuck inwards. Like, if you want to practice this, do it on the grass. Like, tuck inwards when you're going to fall. It might not feel natural, but you have to just fight against your instincts and practice just falling on your face, which is what my academy did, except we did it on mats. Yeah. So I just practiced like tucking my body in. Yeah. And then for advanced, we don't practice when falling into a ninja roll.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's not very practical though.
You guys know Lego Batman.
You can't like, you're not going to fall and then like immediately do this ninja roll like.
Oh yeah. But
you have to know it's coming.
In theory, can you do that?
Yeah.
You guys are probably going to see that in a future episode, because that sounds
it's hard to do
awesome.
it's hard to do on concrete. But
we won't do it in concrete. We'll do it on a rug or something. We'll figure it out. Because right now I'm locked in a building somewhere, so you might have to ninja roll out of nowhere and surprise Isaiah or something. Spoilers. We'll see what happens.
We might have a battle or something.
We can't talk about this on here because, guys, this is before that happens. We'll see what goes on. This is a little bit of pre-planning, a little in-depth of how we do this and everything, because we literally just sit down and we just talk about what we're going to film, usually the day of as well, because we want it fresh, we want an idea, we don't want it stale or anything like over rehearsed. So we encourage a lot of improv and everything, which was really fun. And the one thing I didn't know you were going to do is we wear those sick aviators. Whose idea was that? Because that was awesome. I think that completed the character.
That was just my idea.
That was
I looked in my car. I was like, Tom wants me to film like me kicking the ground. I should pick like this. Now I'm going to remind myself is Neo from The Matrix. That's what I thought.
That's kind of what it felt like. It was like Neo and Bruce Lee put together. It was so cool.
I walked up to you. I was like, how would they like walk? How does any like bad guy supervillain like walk up to someone? Yeah. That's what I did. That's what you see. That's what was my idea.
Great. Your in character was so great because like you stole like the shot, which was so great. Like you had that presence, which is crazy. Because Logan was there with the suit. It was so great in the background because he did everything that he was supposed to do because he just did nonverbal stuff to tell where you guys go. And then there you go. Literally, we were originally going to find like a toy gun or like a toy sword or something. We couldn't find anything like that. So I was like, who's the person that I know that is basically a living weapon? And that is Daniel. And Daniel just walks on camera. He knows that he could beat up anyone. And he's just like, And then it's like, oh snap, I'm on the ground. It was great.
There's some bad dudes.
Dude, there's some bad dudes. Speaking about that, bad dudes was actually just a random thing that Isaiah said on camera. Yeah, it was, and we heard it the one time, and everyone immediately was like, that's it. That's what they're being referred to as. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, backstory. We were filming, and Tom's phone is cracked, which is what we use to film. And sometimes when we use it for a long time,
it's broken.
The screen will turn off.
You can't see anything.
And we never know if it's recording or not. And so the shot ends. I'm walking back, and I just said to myself, wow, those are some bad dudes. Because I saw the shot, I saw the kick, I was like, oh, this dude's insane. And turns out it was still recording. So we watched the playback. And I guess now that's kind of like one of our catchphrases at Tom Time.
The bad dudes. They're the guys that kidnap me and everything. They're the main antagonists of the season. The bad dudes.
My character technically doesn't have a name. It's just the bad dude.
The bad dude. Yeah. Bad dude fighter.
Maybe he'll get a name.
Ooh, we'll have to figure it out.
I think it would be more ambiguous if it's not my actual name.
I agree. We'll have to figure something out. Oh, man. Do you guys want to keep going, or do you guys want to end it right here? It's up to you guys. You guys want to? We got any more to talk about, or do you guys want to end it?
I think we pretty much talked about.
Yeah.
I think we have enough.
We covered everything.
We covered most of it. I mean, the only other thing that we didn't cover was when I was filming, and Tom would do, which you'll see it in the video, but there's this verbal cue he does with his arms.
Oh, that's a big thing. We're talking about it.
We didn't have any idea. We were just, the four of me, Logan, and the other three bad dudes were just back there. And we're like, bro, we have no idea when he's actually like going. So he does this. He's like, I need you to do this hand signal. I'm gonna do this hand signal.
Thing, because I tried to do subtle. I did it like 5 times. Logan couldn't see it, so I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, that was not subtle at all.
He does the all around the world symbol for like Michael Jackson, and then we're like, yeah, that's it. And then he's like,
there we go. But the thing is, those who saw the edit, I got little captions going throughout it, and the cool thing is like the symbol that I did looks like I'm motioning towards the caption, basically for the edit. So like, it sort of works.
That's cool.
So like, I'm gonna say it works. And if it doesn't, talk to me in person. I'd rather not see that in the comment section. Because that's going to be there forever.
He really said the all around the world symbol. I was waiting for Lionel Richie to walk up.
Well, I didn't know what else to call it.
Oh, no, that was it. Oh, man. Any other goofy story, guys? Anything off the top of the head, off the cuff? Anything? Yeah? Hey, what are they listening to right now, guys?
We listen to Tom Time, the podcast.
Hell yeah. Dude, this is Tom Time, the podcast with Isaiah and Tom. And obviously our guest today was...
Daniel Grabowski. Pleasure being on.
It was a pleasure having you.
Dude, it was a great time. And guys, you know what? If you're not already subscribed to the channel, guys, what should they be doing?
You should, if you're not subscribed, you should go down and hit that like button and maybe hit the subscribe button while you're down there. Maybe leave a comment and hit the bell so you can get all the notifications.
Or else Daniel's gonna crane kick you. Watch out.
High risk, high reward, baby. And that's what we do at Tom Time. Because you know what? This content, we're going to the moon. That's how great it's going to be. That's the caliber of content. And that includes with this podcast, going to the moon. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. And hey, stick out for more Tom Time. Check out my Instagram at @TomSwick. Isaiah, do you want to plug anything or
No,
social media?
I think we're good now.
Daniel?
I guess we'll plug my Instagram, which is @DGraboEric.
Nice. And yeah. Hey, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Tom Time, the podcast. I am your host, Tom Swick, and I'm here with my guest.
Hello, my name is Jack O'Connell. I'm from Limerick, Ireland, and I'm spending the semester at Gannon here.
Thanks you for being on the show, Jack. Appreciate
Not a problem. This has been great.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, you should have probably saw Jack on Tom Time episode 1, especially the very end, where not me, but the character I was playing gets kidnapped. So kind of me got kidnapped there.
Yeah.
That was a fun time, wasn't it, Jack?
Yes, it was. It was very fun kicking you in the stomach there. That was. It was such a weird event on that day.
I bet. I didn't even tell you a single thing what we were doing. I was like,
No.
we're filming something for my YouTube channel. Would you be interested in doing it? And you said, hell yeah. Or
Yeah,
something.
well, I wasn't busy that day. I was like, yeah, sure, it sounds like fun.
Nice, well.
I didn't learn anything till getting on site and be like, okay, so what are we filming exactly? Is it like, are we gonna have like a talk or something? No. And then Tom just shows up. Yeah, we're gonna be kidnapped. You're gonna be kidnapping me, which was a bit out of left field. But I worked with
Oh, yeah.
Stranger Things before, so I was like, I'm good at this.
It was fun because we all crammed it up in one car to like the maximum capacity it could be. And I tossed them the bag as well as like other props that they could potentially use. It's like, oh, by the way, this is what you're throwing over my head. You guys are allowed to do stage kicks and everything. And then I was like, Jack, I know you know some like fight choreography, so that you can show some people how to do some of that stuff while we're filming this one bit here. And it was fantastic.
Yeah, I have more of a theater background,
Theater.
so I would be the stage comic I would do is more. It's not exactly film-esque.
Oh no, it's usually with film, it always starts with theater-esque.
Yeah.
And that's usually how I use like my learning, especially when I'm talking to people for acting and everything. I found out that theater is usually the best way to do it, because you don't want to give them the idea of like, oh, by the way, this camera's here, so work towards the camera. I like them working with the actors and the environment around them.
Yes,
And
it's
the
much-
camera just captures it. I think it works so much better and gives a natural approach to it.
Yes, working with a camera and working with like a live audience is much more different, because with a camera you can always just cut things and
Exactly.
and shift the perspective of things. With
Exactly.
theater, the entire stage is basically your perspective, so you need to make everything look
Oh yeah.
together.
And that's the cool thing about like the two differences, because like you have that one perspective, and with film it's a 3D world basically if you can do it right. So you just allow your actors the free reign, so you do multiple test runs of it, and so then you can figure out where you're going to plot out the cameras and everything. And I think that's just one of the big things I love about film, especially just filming it. It's just, I'm a director. I like to call myself that. I can officially call myself that now.
You can.
I used to do short films, especially stop motion animation stuff, goofy little Lego films, and then I finally started doing live action here with Tom Time, and it's a dream come true. And just be able to be in an environment, just do what you've always dreamed about is so cool. And like just film just the perspective and everything. You know the stereotypical thing where it's like you have the two L's with your fingers and
Yeah,
everything. try to
you
get the
go
ratio.
around- you go around
You
with
do
that
it.
constantly.
You actually do it. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's one of the best tools to do, and it's something I learned in class. And it's like do it like actually, and like you saw people doing, like no one actually does it. Thing is, you do, and I do it, and it helps me think.
It's almost like, see what you see. It's the
Exactly.
perspective you need.
Yeah, because it's the same size as my phone, so I'm literally just like, okay, so it's gonna look like that, and it's so easy.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do that. I've been in films before. I was in Pandemic Love was one of mine, directed by Conor Dwyer.
Connor Dwyer, okay.
He got me involved. It was kind of a love story during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And every time I was in, I talked really loud because I'm used to talking to a wide audience.
Yeah, you
and
have
he was
to.
like,
You have to project.
Jack, you need to take your voice down, because he had a mic to me. I'm like, I can only hear you and everyone else is drowned out, so please just take it down a notch. I'm like, sorry, okay. It's like, perhaps can everyone bring it up? I was like, no, you need to come down. I don't think anyone could reach that volume.
That's awesome. Oh, that is so funny. Yeah, I was known to being loud, so I know projecting really well from my previous working as a lifeguard.
Yes.
So I do the closing whistle, which means I yell at the top of my lungs, and I use the terminology projecting because it's just I'm using my lungs.
Yeah.
I'm ignoring my vocal cords completely because if you focus on your vocal cords, that's how you basically
That's how you break them. Yeah, you start breathing from your
it's here.
diaphragm.
Exactly, diaphragm out, and then you just go whoa.
Yeah.
And then you can get really loud because I do it on Beach 6, and like people have heard it from at the bay. They've heard it across the street.
Like, what was that?
What was that? And I was like, oh, I'm just letting everybody know you can't be swimming anymore. And so when I came in, I was you're currently with Shuster Theater right now here
Shuster
at
Theater,
Canada.
yes.
I was there for about 1 year. I really want to go back to them and work with them again, hopefully next semester, as I see my schedule and everything, because of course I'm in college. And I'm WERG and a bunch of other projects.
And I feel like Tom time is taking up a lot of your
it is taking
time.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
I could have said that and I couldn't think of it.
Yeah, there it is.
But I'm taking too much of my time, and if I can get back into Schuster Theater, I will. Because when I first came in, it's just a wonderful, welcoming environment to be in. It's a great group of people to be a part of and just like work with. Like you learn so much. I learned a lot. I know you've had a lot of experience.
Yeah, I've been there. I've only been here 2 months.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of experience. I've met a lot of people. Theater is.
Yeah.
People say it's a dying industry, but it's been dying for years.
Yeah.
So anyone can join. As I always say, everyone can act. So it just takes your motivation to get involved in something like that, and you can kind of go anywhere from there.
For sure. I wouldn't even say like theater is dead by any means. I think it just evolved into a different environment, a different crowd. It's very popular as well as like you can go on YouTube and everything, all the different plays that are filmed and everything. And I think the theater is trying to be utilized in that way. So as you just look at, like this is a stereotype, but look at Hamilton. Just look at how popular it was. If you're saying theater is dead and you see Hamilton as making more money than most movies, which is currently the medium, better than television shows and everything of what it did on streaming and everything, Hamilton clearly just shows you that that theater's not dead. It's just a new environment, a new crowd.
Yes, that's the thing. Theater has been dying, but it keeps evolving with the times, the change. It died back in the 16th century with Britain's they curb stamped it kind of. And then when movies and TV shows and the internet, it always kind of evolved. It went from kind of melodrama, musicals, to absurdist theater, to extremist, and now we're in this new era of where digital and theater are mixing together. Yeah. It's becoming, who knows where it's going to go from here next.
Do you like what it's evolving to right now?
I do, I really do, because it's becoming more accessible to a lot of people. Even the streaming over the pandemic. Yeah. Theater would have been live streamed. People got to play
Theater
with.
did that too. It was really cool what they did. They utilized Zoom and everything.
They did it with, what was it called? I think it was called The Grandfather or something like that.
Yeah.
It was I got to see it from Ireland.
Oh wow!
My friend was in it, and I got to see that, and it was such a. Not many people get to play with that. It's kind of like a radio play.
Yeah.
It's a new environment completely. They did it with musicals. They like just filmed different scenes, and then they showed it all back to back. Which, if you were to do that, you kind of couldn't. Yeah. It was kind of movie-esque, but still core theater.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh wow! I didn't get to see the musicals one. I heard it was fantastic though.
They've been looking to bring it back now in its actual theatrical form.
Cool. Yeah.
But they're still looking to see into that. So
that'll be cool. We'll have to stay tuned. Look at they don't have a website. I know it's on the Gannon website.
They have their own website, www.schustertheater.com. You can probably find anything. Perfect. They're currently rehearsing for a play, Dog Woman. I am currently Dog in it.
Oh, you're Dog. Okay.
I am.
That's cool. Is that like one of the main roles, or is that a?
It's three character play. Kind of a very short story.
Cool. They usually do short plays towards the back half of the semester.
Yeah, after
those
the
musical. Are so interesting.
After the musical, they wanted to do something a little smaller. It's only a month of rehearsal, which is kind of killing my schedule. But
I bet.
I'm trying to be involved in it.
He's still involved with Tom Time with his schedule, which is crazy. And I really appreciate you being on as well as being interested to be on Tom Time, because you might be leaving after the end of the semester, but you can expect Jack to be in the finale of Tom Time and hopefully some episodes throughout it, because he's one of the bad dudes. He's one of the main bad dudes. He's one of the original bad dudes.
The original bad dudes.
Yeah, because we're bringing in some more bad dudes throughout the season, because it's almost like a whole different...
It's a gang.
It's a whole gang, man. It's like a whole like mafia. You could, whatever term you want to use it. just know that they're the bad dudes. It's great. So playing the bad dudes, did you get your character a name by any chance?
I gave him the name Sirius.
Serious. Are you
From-
serious about that?
I'm serious about that.
Nice.
I take this job very seriously.
Clearly with a character name like that.
Yes. It was kind of more, you said like, pick anything from Harry Potter, kind of.
Yeah, like, I wanted to, so I gave him some worlds to pick from. So I said Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. I also said later on, I don't know if I said it to you, it was like Marvel, DC,
Yeah, we
or
did
any
that.
like big blockbusters. I wanted one of like the characters that people would be familiar with, but might not know right away.
Yeah,
and
just mix and match names.
And Sirius Black is just a great choice. You went with Sirius, the first name. Did you give your character a last name, or are you waiting on that?
I would have done that, but I didn't exactly choose one. I went with Sirius. I was gonna go immediately to Black, but then I'm like, that's too close.
Yeah, you can do any name for the last name, I think. So William, my brother, suggested one of the characters' names for the character I'll be playing in the future for Private Eyes, which you're involved in as well.
Yes.
And that is going to be the Tom TV experience. And my character's last name is Flossington, which is a little goofy.
Flossington.
He just literally was like, all right, let's go with Flossington. I'm like, all right,
That's it,
Flossington
that's
is.
it, that's-
And we're going with that. Nothing's going to beat that.
Gotta stick to things. Gotta stick to things as you go.
I'm going to be Detective Flossington. I'm not going to give you guys the first name. You have to wait till Tom 10 episode 2 to check that out. Just a little teaser. But Jack here is heavily involved in Private Eyes is the name of the project.
Yes, I cannot wait to be involved. It sounds like an amazing project, and Tom has worked very hard on it with our board of writers on all this.
Dude, that was crazy. We had about 5 people writing that script, which is
Yes.
insane. Because originally the first movie was just me. And we had a story, we had all the beats and everything, and then then Liam came in along with Isaiah, and it was all improv.
Yes.
But it was with the story beats that I wrote. And then I went into the Private Eyes project here with the staff rooms, like a TV staff room, since it's a TV show. I wanted to have that same feel like a writer's room. And so I gave him the outline, and I gave him some story beats that I wanted, but there was a lot of story beats missing, as well as a good arc of the story. So I was like, guys, we got to figure this out. Here's the plan for everything. We got to flesh this out some more. And being able to work with everyone was amazing, because we were doing it during my live shift on WERG. So I was bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, you would come back to new ideas being turned around. We'd ask you questions about how you think this would fit in. We are working around with like monologues and other stuff, and how characters interact.
Yeah.
Even picking up names was a fun idea, because we kept mixing and matching and finding the funnier names, and we were able to bounce stuff off each other, and it really did remind me of a theater again, because every script you get, you can just bounce around with like character motivations, and they're super objective, as we call it, for the play. What do they want? What stops them?
Yeah.
It was like bouncing off each other was an amazing
It was a
feeling.
fun experience. And I can't wait to film, because that was literally just us planning the film. When we're filming, it's even more fun. It's more exhausting, but it's so worth it. It is just a great time.
There was sometimes writing it where we were just doubled over in pain from laughing at things we came up with.
I came in, you guys would just be laughing your heads off. I'm like, all right, what do we got here now, guys?
What are these guys up to now? Have they done any work, or are they just laughing around? And we just come back, or there's a page just full of jokes, or just like character ideas that were like, this would be hilarious to do.
It was so great, and I think this is going to be even better than the Chronicle of Greg, and that's the hope, is like every episode gets better and better. Chronicle of Greg is a great film, but Private Eyes, man, I can't wait for you to see it. It's going to be a noir TV show, so it's a TV show that ran during the 80s, like Reagan Prime, and it's like a very, very popular show that lasted forever, because the Chronicle of Greg was an absolute failure. It was a critical success, but as a box office, it reached maybe one theater. Only one theater was like, we'll allow this on screen. And that's the in-universe idea for the show, because I really want to do like old movies and old TV shows for it. Maybe someday, maybe later on the road, I will do a more modern day film. But right now I want to stick with some of these older stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of older kind of that noir type field
I love
in
them.
modern, even amateur filming. I haven't seen anything pop out at me yet.
Right.
But this might be like the first I've seen in like a few years.
Private Eyes, from the song title Private Eyes by John Hall and Hall and Oates. So yeah, I love that song. And I know a couple like cop movies that like sing it and everything. They play in the background like to make fun of the situation. And I think that was just the perfect name for it, because our detective, the lead character, is a private eye, and he has an assistant with him. It's almost kind of like Sherlock Holmes-esque a little bit.
Nice.
And there's gonna be a good villain there. I'm really excited for it, as well as interaction with the police. So the police respect them and they know that they solve cases. But actually, I misrespect. They disrespect them. They don't think that they are as legitimate as they say they are in the work that they've done. Even though they've solved so many different cases, it's that little trope of the TV where nothing really changes.
Yeah,
it might change slowly but surely. So like this is probably mid-series, and the cops are just like, we're fine with working with you guys, but we don't respect you.
You were planning on going with a more of a every episode is its own contained story.
Exactly.
That the plot gets resolved by the end, and everything returns to status quo by the end.
Exactly. And it's almost the same thing over and over
again,
but some variety to it. And those are fun shows to watch. Like I think when you're sick or you're at home doing nothing and you want something that's like nostalgic and like you know. So you want to relax a bit, so you don't have to get too in depth into it and being like, oh my gosh, what's happening? You're like, they'll solve the case in 30 minutes, and it's just gonna be one fun time just to relax.
Yeah, because nowadays in the media, there's all these episodic stories. Like Squid Game was one of the big ones that came out.
Fantastic show.
A lot of other big things.
Stranger Things and everything, because it builds onto it. Daredevil, all the Netflix shows, especially streaming services and everything.
Yeah, when they all come out in one big chunk, there's a big. It almost feels like a very long movie.
Oh yeah.
But then you just kind of miss those little self-contained episodes. Like you only have a half an hour to kill. You're like, what am I going to watch? I don't want to get into something and stop halfway through. This is the kind of thing you want to see.
And that's how Tom Time is built, because it is a pause and resume type of show. It's almost an event. So it's for those people that want to watch a full hour straight through. Go right ahead. I love it that you guys are doing it. I'm really passionate and really happy that you would be willing to watch a full hour of Tom Time. But for those who are busy, like myself, and I know Jack is, as well as a lot of people who worked on the show, a lot of us literally just, we watch a good chunk, then we pause, because it's set up in segments to the point where you can pause when you're at a good point to leave Tom Time, and then you go back to watch more.
Yeah.
So we have the intro, we have the in-universe stuff, which is the television host being kidnapped and like the story that's going on with him, but he's still a professional that he's continuing to do the show. So he has these interviews that he's still doing, as well as the Tom Time TV experience. So it's really a Tom Time TV experience or a film experience, and it's really cool that I don't know. I'm bragging a little too much about Tom Time here.
You should. It's a great project to work on. It's amazing that you can do something like that. I could never think of doing something like that because, well, I do have a lot of creative people. I know a lot of film people, but I'm not into the whole making a very long episode. Even putting something up online for me would be kind of iffy.
It takes a little bit of courage. That was the hard part. Filming it was easy. It was putting it online. It was just like, is this going to be good enough? And the reaction that people have given this show is insane.
Yeah, you have over 100 views now.
We have almost 200. We're going to be at like 150 maybe by the end of this weekend, as well as we might reach 200 views if we continue at the rate we are, because it's going to start stalling for sure. But there's a solid chance we'll have 200 views by the end of this month, which is insane. Like, that is so cool that that's how much reach we're getting, as well as we have more likes, we have dislikes. We hit the milestone of our first dislike, which is pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, what a spectacular moment. Someone didn't like it.
Someone didn't like it. I pissed somebody off enough that they would click dislike, because you know that actively they have to put effort into dislike something, because most of the time if you dislike something, you just click away. Yeah. They were so mad about it.
They actually
disliked it. So I got engaged in a reaction that maybe I didn't intend for, but I got a reaction. So it was like a win right there.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited. And that's just what you want. You're filming something to get a reaction, to try to get like emotion from it. Because if you're just falling on like deaf ears or like emotionless ears, I think you're not doing it right.
Yes, again, going back to my whole theater experience. Yeah. Getting all that positive, like, that was a great show, you did great, I really loved your character, is great and all, but it's the critical view you want, like, I thought you did this kind of strangely, I didn't really get this, I don't really like how you did this. That is what I look for to improve myself, to make myself up, like, okay, I didn't do this perfectly, I missed a line, that movement made no sense. I didn't hit the high notes in the musical that we just had, kind of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel that completely, because like it is nice to hear positive reactions always, but like a little sprinkle of just critical, not like a just straight up like, I hate it. It's just like do this maybe, or like what happens if this happened?
Could you please change this and
Exactly.
see how it will work?
Exactly. And like there was very few moments of those for Tom Time, which is a good thing.
Yes.
But having those is very nice to be able to do in the future. As well as it helps me figure out the podcast because it helps me realize I did not explain certain areas enough. And the big thing that I did not explain that I talked about throughout the show was me playing a caricature. And I wanted that as a reveal, but not a lot of people realized that that's what happened because they were just like, why are you acting like there's a douchebag on camera? And I was like, that's the character I'm playing. That's the point.
You always put yourself up. You always go to those stereotypes to like make yourself look
as good as possible.
Yes.
And I think me going into an area, me not looking as good on camera,
it did work for the kind of TV presenter-esque thing you were going for.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted. I wanted, because most television hosts, like the stereotype of television host is like, oh, they do a good job presenting this, but I would not want to like work with them or meet them in person because they'd probably be a douche.
Yes.
Which is what happens. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I just had the idea, which was 100, like almost to 500% look at me attitude, and the stereotype of a television host, and just I put that together with a blend of like actual stories from my life to give some realism to it. So it's not like I'm playing this completely made up person. It's like a realistic, a little bit of me mixed with all these elements to it to elevate the role.
Yes, it's been a very good experience, a lovely experience filming with you, and the way you work with just kind of coming together. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna film it. We're gonna take 3 or 4 episodes, and we're gonna be done with it.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with people that are like, okay, here's the script, learn that for a week, then come back to me, and we're gonna do this one scene this day, one scene the other day. It works. Every director has their own style.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that in everyone in here too.
Oh yeah, I just like it keeping it fresh, and I like it keeping it right on your mind because I'm alright with it like settling in. So I will give you certain areas that I think needs to be focused in, like the writing room. That was the big thing.
Yes.
But overall, I'd rather have it as fresh as it possibly can be because it makes it feel natural as well as a conversation. Because that's the big thing. Is I think a lot of problems with like early filming is this happened to me when I was filming like a lot of my bits and everything, and I did some test footage in the past. It felt very stilted, and it felt like I was literally talking on the idea was I'm talking on TV, not like this is a world and this is like real life.
Yeah.
And that's what the big thing is I really want to do is have that believability of like these could be real people. And that's what's the big thing is.
That's what I was thinking. So it's building a world inside of the media you've been making, yes.
And it's fun, and it's the same with the marketing strategy that we went with as well. So I've created a Tomglomerate Instagram, the Tomfoolery conglomerate. So I made it as like it's the corporation that's in charge of everything, even though it's me. I'm pretending to be my own boss and like the own company that I work for, which is goofy and a little crazy. But it's like I think it just adds like it adds something magical to it. It adds something fun. It makes me enjoy it more as well, which is the end goal. Is if I'm not enjoying it, then why am I doing it?
Yeah, I'm now picturing a board of directors, and it's just all of you
in different costumes.
Different costumes, just like sitting around. Like, we need to focus on the bills, Sonny. We need to go big or go home. This other corporation is killing us.
Look at our insights right now. We're not reaching our top market. Look at these demographics. We're not even reaching them. What are you doing?
What are you doing? Come on, man, come on. And you're just there at the end of the table, just like, I'm trying my best.
I'm just doing what I can, man. I just had a dream and you brought me on board, man. I don't care about the money. That's all we're here for.
That's all we care about.
It's the money. It's fun. Maybe that'll be a Tom Time thing. We'll see what happens. That's a good scene.
That's a good scene, just to see inside your head.
We're doing this is a little teaser for season 2. So we have a couple, there's 2 ideas that are bouncing around. One is a Mr. Rogers special we're going to be doing.
Oh my god. I grew up with Mr. Rogers.
Oh, dude. I was so happy that Mr. Rogers is one of the staples of America.
Day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?
Exactly.
It's just such a...
So I might sing the theme song, and I might sing like an opener and everything, and it's going to be like me in like a house walking down steps and everything, talking to the camera. I'm going to give it the Tom Time twist, obviously. And that's going to be one of the specials in season 2. So sorry for I hyped up season 2 so much. Season 1 is fantastic. It's continuing a story arc. Season 2, we're looking to be a little more episodic, self-contained stories. But the other one that I was going to do was a more behind the scenes type episodes. We might film a episode where it's me literally at the editing bay editing the video while it's playing at the same time, and then it's like me it's me voicing over it. Oh, that was actually part of the Mr. Rogers episode. My bad. That episode is so in depth that we planned for it.
There's a lot going on, people here. There's a lot
to remember. I wrote it down, everything, but the it looks into picture and it gives you like a documentary.
Yes.
So it's me a Tom Time documentary. So it's me us showing us filming.
Here
it.
we see Tom in his natural environment, editing his last video for Tom Time.
And there's Tom with his usual breakdown. At that point, it's just me slamming my head on the keyboard.
Oh yes, right on schedule.
Right on schedule. Oh, and there's his nap time.
And
let's leave him for a moment. Oh, there's Tom. There's Tom, just refreshed and ready to finish out Tom Time. I'm excited to see what happens. We'll probably film like the previous episode that we filmed for that footage. So that'll be cool.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, and it's gonna be great. So I'll play like a Mr. Rogers type character, and we might do a little Bob Ross segment as well. So
A Bob painting.
So I might paint. So I am a terrible painter, and I think that will add
That
more
adds
levels
to
to
it,
it.
yes.
So I will act like Bob Ross and pretend like I'm making the greatest masterpiece of all time. It could be just be stick figures around like a stick fire.
It will be a
something.
sun with a smiley face on the
Yes.
inside, like that's kind of 6th grade kind of drawing.
When you're a little kid, for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be funny. I'm excited. It's just gonna be fun to film. But we went a lot into season 2 for you guys. But don't worry, season 1 is just as good. And I got to mention some of that stuff we're doing. So the kidnapping is continuing. These bad dudes are the arch nemesis of this host right now. Tom Time is taken over by these bad dudes. Even though they're letting them still film.
Yeah,
you know what?
yeah.
Maybe they're not that bad.
Maybe they're bad dudes. Maybe
they're
maybe
not-
they want to be in the spotlight themselves. Maybe they got jealous of Tom Time and want to be involved in
Who
it.
knows?
We don't know the story
We
yet.
don't know their motives. I know the story, but you guys just have to keep watching to find out. Jack, do you have anything else you want to say about Tom Time or anything theater realm or anything?
Tom Time has been it's been a small part of my time here, and
Yeah.
it's been enjoyable to get to know all these people through it.
Thank you.
It has been an honor to film with you and get involved. I wish to be involved in the future.
For sure, man. Even when you're in Ireland, we'll try to do Zoom calls and everything. I for sure really want you to continue being a part of Tom Time. This has been a actual pleasure. This has been a genuine pleasure. Like I wanted to work with you in the past because we hung out in the CC occasionally. I knew you acted and everything. I knew you knew Seamus and a lot of people that I worked with in the past. So it was like, you know what? I gotta bring Jack on board on this project and see if he's interested. And he's not just interested. You're just passionate about it,
Yes,
almost
I
as
love-
much as I am. It's
I love
awesome.
getting involved with these new kind of forms of media because it changes how you see things. Because when I was involved in like different films and stuff, I never really got it. Mm-hmm. I've been involved in like music videos and the small short films, and they were nice, but I always loved the audience being there.
Oh yeah.
But this changes like as it goes. Film is fun. It's fun. It gets out to a load of people. You still like see people will share it to you like, oh, I saw you in this. It was great.
Yeah.
That looked lovely.
It's awesome. So people have been sharing you about Tom Time then?
A few people have just after I've
snap.
seen Tom Time was like, Jack, are you in this?
There we go.
I went around, skipped around, and I saw you at the end. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I didn't know that was you. Of course, I'm wearing the Gannon hoodie, which I thought didn't work with costume, but I thought it was
It
funny
worked
anyway.
fine. It was funny. It was good, and it was also a nice little promotion about our school. So that's awesome. I'm glad. That's so cool that people are sharing. Like I was hoping that we have more of like a community going involved and just people excited about it. And yeah, expect Jack in more episodes and everything. And I think we're close to wrapping up because you have a class coming up, right?
I do have a class coming up very soon.
All right, it's all good. Hey, Jack, what should the people do here?
Please go and follow Tom Time on whatever social media you use. He's definitely on YouTube. I'm pretty sure he's going to link it here.
I might as well. It's on Tom-Time on YouTube. We are the top 3 results always. We actually were not in the algorithm originally, but because of how many people have watched it, and that's you guys who are listening right now, that's how we got there. So we're number 1 for a little bit on the Tom-Time, which is really cool because Tom Brady's on the same page. I'm on the same page as Tom Brady.
Oh my
cool.
god, that's kind of cool.
I know. And let's see. On Instagram, it's going to be Tom Time the Show on Instagram. So it's at Tom Time the Show, and there's no dash there. It's all there. And then it's going to be at that Tom Swick for my personal creative one. And that's the one that I will be posting updates on any project I do, not just Tom Time. It's also going to be my WERG projects as well as my TV show and the film I'll be working on over the summer. So stay tuned for all that, and thank you so much for being on the show, Jack.
That was my pleasure. Thank you
Is there
so
anything
much.
you want to plug yourself?
Please look up if you are in the Gannon area or in Erie itself. Please do think of going to some theatre near you. You never know what you're going to find.
Exactly, and anyone who is anywhere else, support your local theater. Please do. You gotta. And yeah, thank you for being on the show again, Jack.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
And we'll be back with Tom. Thank you guys for watching / listening, or however you are experiencing Tom Time, the podcast. I really, truly appreciate you all listening to this. It was a fun time. I need to thank my guests tonight, today, or whatever time you listen to this, Daniel and Jack, and of course, my occasional host, Isaiah Cameron. Guys, it was fantastic. Daniel Gorbowski was amazing. Jack O'Connell was also amazing. And Isaiah is just a great host. You can tell him asking the questions with Daniel and our back and forth. It was just a wonderful time. And this podcast, I think, was a success for an episode 1. It opened strongly. As you can tell, we recorded everything in different time frames. I actually recorded the Jack interview last. That was actually a couple hours ago. And then I interviewed Daniel. That was the first thing we ever recorded for a podcast. It was more of a test, but we did a little test one. It sounded really good, so we were like, okay, let's do it. Let's do a little segment, and then we'll put it in the middle of the podcast. And yeah, really hope you enjoyed the opening. The first chunk of the podcast was me talking directly to you guys about my viewpoint about Tom Time and the creative decisions that we made, as well as just the ideology behind it and the caricature that we created. I'm hoping for episode 2 of the podcast we go more into some more stuff like that. I don't want to go too much into it because I'd prefer it to be more special for every episode. Right now we're debating the release date for Tom Time the podcast. We're still figuring out how often we are gonna upload, and I kind of want to do twice a month, but we shall see. It could end up being once a month, like Tom Time the show. We'll find out. We will have to find out. So expect on a later date how often we're doing the podcast. All right. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. It has been a pleasure talking to all of you. And if you guys want to check me out on my social medias, that is that Tom Swick, as well as Tom Time the show. And of course, we have to thank the company who's in charge of all this, Tomfoolery Conglomerate, the Tomglomerate. And they are at Instagram at Tomglomerate. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you for listening. Please stay safe out there. Buckle up if you're driving, and pay attention to the road. Have a good night, or good day, or good morning. Thank you. This was Tom Time, the podcast. Let's hear with the theme song again. Hit it, Nate.
2, 3, 4. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, yeah, pick it up.